Welcome to the Crowdpurr Weekly Trivia Show. My name is Philip Trickey. I am your host. I am coming to you live from the Crowdpurr headquarters in beautiful downtown Dayton, Ohio. Remember, Crowdpurr is the world's #1 web hosting platform for trivia. We've got some fun games this week. As usual, I take my writers and we publish 10 new games every week. I take my favorite 15 questions from those games and bring you this weekly trivia show. It snowed here in Dayton this morning, which is only fitting because it is a cold, cold day in North America. If you live in these United States, you should know that today is the last day to file your income taxes for 2021. So I am not surprised that it was cold this morning because it was cold in my wallet when I filed those taxes. Fun week this week. Also, 420 is coming up. I think it's only fitting that holiday follows tax day. I feel if those were reversed, there might be a lot more audits happening. But who knows? One thing that I do know is that we've got some trivia coming up. So what do you say? Let's play. All right, this week's games, we've got Celebrity Hidden Talents, we've got a game about things in the desert, and the game that made me feel older than I felt in years. We've got a game about things turning 25 in 2022. So let's get going. Question 1, coming from our Celebrity Hidden Talent games. What rapper was ranked 6th in the world in competitive jet skiing in 1995? Was it A, Coolio, B, Young MC, C, Vanilla Ice, or D, LL Cool J? A, Coolio, B, Young MC, C, Vanilla Ice, or D, LL Cool J? The answer, the rapper who was 6th in the world, was C, Vanilla Ice. He got into, he was already like a motocross guy and doing jet skis during his rap career, and when the sun started to set on that, he got really into the jet skiing. Question 2. Fun game this week about heists and robberies called Take the Money and Run. Question 2. What U.S. president's likeness is not featured on the masks worn by the surfers turned bank robbers in 1991's Point Break? Was it A, Jimmy Carter, B, Richard Nixon, C, Lyndon B. Johnson, or D, John F. Kennedy? A, Jimmy Carter, B, Richard Nixon, C, Lyndon Johnson, or D, John F. Kennedy? And the answer is D, John F. Kennedy was not one of the bank robbing presidents. The 4th in that list was Ronald Reagan. That was the one that Patrick Swayze wore. Question 3, still from Take the Money and Run. What famous artist was briefly suspected of stealing the Mona Lisa in 1911? Was it A, Pablo Picasso, B, René Magritte, C, Henri Matisse, or D, Gustav Klimt? A, Pablo Picasso, B, René Magritte, C, Henri Matisse, or D, Gustav Klimt? The answer is A, Pablo Picasso was briefly suspected of stealing the Mona Lisa, but it turned out that it was a guy disguised as a janitor who literally walked into the Louvre and walked out with the painting. And he held on to it for almost 2 years. Question 4. We've got a game about the BBC, as they say. Should I read this one in a British accent? I'm going to do it. Question 4. What BBC weekly broadcast listings magazine was first published in 1923? Was it A, Beeb, B, The Big Issue, C, radio times, or D, time out? A, Beeb, B, the big issue, C, radio times, or D, time out? And the answer, the BBC started publishing C, Radio Times, in 1923. Features all the listings that you need for weekly TV and radio schedules. It's still in print today. Sorry about the accent. Question 5. We've got a independent films game this week, all about indie movies. Question 5. What is the name of Spike Lee's Motormouth character from his independently financed debut, She's Gotta Have It? Is it A, Jamie Overstreet, B, Mars Blackman, C, Opal Gilstrap, or D, Sunny Darling? A, Jamie Overstreet, B, Mars Blackman, C, Opal Gilstrap, or D, Sunny Darling? And the answer, you know it's gotta be the shoes. It's B, Mars Blackman. I was introduced to Mars Blackman in a series of Air Jordan commercials that he did in the 1980s. And then I saw She's Gotta Have It. Great movie. Check it out. Question 6. This is the one that made me feel old. These are all things that are turning 25 in 2022. So these things all happened in 1997. Question 6. What office supply do Romy and Michelle claim they invented in 1997's road trip comedy, Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion? Was it A, colored paper clips, B, left-handed scissors, C, staples, or D, Post-it notes? A, colored paper clips, B, left-handed scissors, C, staples, or D, Post-it notes? The answer, they claim they invented Post-it notes. D, they made up the lie to try to impress their classmates, and one of their classmates knew the story of the invention of Post-it notes. So they got busted. Question 7, still from turning 25 in 2022. What band did not release their debut album in 1997? Is it A, Third Eye Blind, B, Limp Bizkit, C, Blink-182, or D, Daft Punk? A, Third Eye Blind, B, Limp Bizkit, C, Blink-182, or D, Daft Punk? I think I had all of the albums that all of these bands released in 1997, but the one that did not debut was C, Blink-182. Their debut, Cheshire Cat, came out in 1995. Question number 8. We've got a game all about the desert. In the desert. On what continent would you find the world's largest desert? Is it A, Africa, B, South America, C, Asia, or D, Antarctica? A, Africa, B, South America, C, Asia, or D, Antarctica? And the answer, the world's largest desert, is D, Antarctica. The entire continent is considered a desert because a desert is defined as an area that receives very little precipitation. So even with all that snow and ice, it is the largest desert in the world. Question 9. Got a fun game about public transportation this week, all about trains and taxis and buses and rickshaws and all sorts of other fun public transport that you can find in various cities all over the world. Question 9. What eastern U.S. city's transit system is locally known as the T and includes the oldest transit subway system still in use in the United States? Is it A, Boston, B, New York City, C, Philadelphia, or D, Washington, D.C.? A, Boston, B, New York City, C, Philadelphia, or D, Washington, D.C.? The answer is the oldest transit subway system in the U.S. is in A, Boston, and it is locally known as the T. I'm going to take the T because my car won't start. Question 10. We've got a new series coming with general trivia this week. We're calling it Trivia Grab Bag. So these are games that just feature all sorts of random questions that cover an array of all sorts of topics. Question 10. What was the name given to the Hawaiian Islands by Captain James Cook in 1778? Was it A, Cook Islands, B, Marshall Islands, C, Sandwich Islands, or D, Society Islands? A, Cook Islands, B, Marshall Islands, C, Sandwich Islands, or D, Society Islands? The answer, James Cook called the Hawaiian Islands C, the Sandwich Islands, because his trip to Hawaii was sponsored by the 4th Earl of Sandwich. Question 11, still from our trivia grab bag. Who is the only U.S. president to write a book about another U.S. president? Was it A, Grover Cleveland, B, Herbert Hoover, C, Millard Fillmore, or D, Theodore Roosevelt? A, Grover Cleveland, B, Herbert Hoover, C, Millard Fillmore, or D, Theodore Roosevelt? The answer, this U.S. president wrote a book about another president, was B, Herbert Hoover. He wrote The Ordeal of Woodrow Wilson in 1958. I guess Wilson was his political mentor, so he was had a ringside seat for his presidency. Question 12. We've got a Legends of Music Garth Brooks. It's been a big hole in our Legends of Music series, so we filled that hole with Garth Brooks this week. Question 12. Which Major League Baseball team gave Garth Brooks a minor league contract in 1998? Was it A, the New York Mets, B, Kansas City Royals, C, San Diego Padres, or D, the Pittsburgh Pirates? A, New York Mets, B, Kansas City Royals, C, San Diego Padres, or D, the Pittsburgh Pirates? The answer, Garth Brooks, in 1998 was a San Diego Padre. They signed him to a spring training contract. He went 1 for 22, and he had a .045 batting average, and that is not good if you don't know anything about baseball. That is a very terrible batting average. He's got a better batting average with his records, that's for sure. Question 13, still in Garth Brooks. What is the name of the short-lived online music service founded by Garth Brooks in 2014 to sell his catalog? Was it A, Ghost Tunes, B, Country Star, C, Jukebox, or D, Moon Tunes? A, Ghost Tunes, B, Country Star, C, Jukebox, or D, Moon Tunes? The answer, in 2014, Garth Brooks started A, Ghost Tunes, to sell his music. It did not last for very long and was ultimately absorbed by Amazon, which is the only place that you can find his music for streaming online. Question 14. In addition to the Legends of Music, we've got a Legends of Sports game this week featuring Tony Hawk, considered by many the greatest skateboarder who ever lived. Question 14. What nationwide extreme sports tour was started by Tony Hawk in 2002? Was it A, the Ride Experience, B, Nitro Circus, C, the Birdman Skate Spectacular, or D, Boom Boom Huck Jam? A, the Ride Experience, B, Nitro Circus, C, the Birdman Skate Spectacular, or D, Boom Boom Huck Jam? And the answer, Tony Hawk's Boom Boom Huck Jam was the extreme sports. So D, Boom Boom Huck Jam, which just sounds like nonsense, but was probably a lot of fun for a lot of people. Question 15. What Weird Al Yankovic music video features a cameo from Tony Hawk? Was it A, Bedrock Anthem, B, It's All About the Pentiums, C, Smells Like Nirvana, or D, White and Nerdy? A, Bedrock Anthem, B, It's All About the Pentiums, C, Smells Like Nirvana, or D, White and Nerdy? The answer is C, Smells Like Nirvana, featured Tony Hawk. I guess the skate punk extras that they hired for the video shoot were from Birdhouse skateboarding team. So Tony Hawk was just hanging around and they put him in the video. So that's our 15 questions this week. But, I've got a bonus question. And my bonus question this week, if you couldn't tell from that cough, is coming from our cannabis trivia in honor of 420 this week. So bonus question. Which rock band used clips from the cult film Reefer Madness in their video for Smoke the Sky? Was it A, Motley Crue, B, Pantera, C, Megadeth, or D, Guns N' Roses? A, Motley Crue, B, Pantera, C, Megadeth, or D, Guns N' Roses? And the answer, Reefer Madness and Smoke the Sky, was A, Motley Crue. It was the one album they did with the replacement singer John Corabi, which I am told by some people is not a bad album. I have never heard it, but I'll get around to it someday. So that's our game this week. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to review the podcast. And a fun thing that you can do is also, take a screenshot of your phone and send it to your friends. Share it online so get the word out. As always, Crowdpurr is the #1 site for hosting trivia. Please be sure and tune in next week. We've got some fun, exciting things planned for the podcast, including some cash prize giveaways. So we will see you next week, and thanks for listening.